In the 1990s, Apple was on the verge of collapse. Sales were crashing, competitors were winning, and bankruptcy seemed inevitable. But within just a few years, the company staged one of the greatest comebacks in business history, from iconic products to building a global empire and eventually becoming the world's first $3 trillion company. This is the incredible story of Apple's rise from the ashes.
This chart shows the gross domestic product of major global nations next to a single towering bar representing Apple's valuation. At over $3 trillion, this single company holds more wealth than the entire economies of most countries on Earth. Yet the starting line for that staggering wealth was a dusty, unremarkable garage in 1970s California. Inside that garage was Steve Jobs, a fiercely ambitious visionary with a talent for seeing what consumer technology could eventually become. Alongside him was his friend Steve Wozniak, the technical genius capable of taking those grand visions and hand-wiring them into reality. How did two friends soldering circuits in a suburban garage orchestrate a business strategy powerful enough to build the most valuable empire on the planet? In 1976, computing was an exclusive club. The machines were massive, highly complex mainframes, strictly reserved for major corporations and university labs. Their disruptive solution was the Apple I. Compared to the sleek aluminum of today, it was remarkably crude, essentially an exposed wooden circuit board connected to a small television. By the 1980s, they refined this approach with the Macintosh. For the first time, a computer featured a graphical interface, making the technology easy for the general public to understand and actually use. The early success of the company relied on breaking the long-held industry rule that computing had to be difficult. They made accessibility their primary product. But rapid success rarely scales without friction. Within a few years, the nimble startup fractured into a bureaucratic maze. Internal clashes over product direction and company control culminated in a shocking boardroom coup. Steve Jobs was ousted from the very company he had founded. This chart tracks the company's trajectory through the 1990s. Without a singular vision, they released a string of bloated, confusing products. Market share and revenue plummeted straight into the red danger zone of imminent bankruptcy. The industry consensus was unanimous. Apple was a failed experiment. The market had proven that an innovative technology company cannot survive without a ruthless, unified direction. In 1997, Jobs returned. His immediate response to the crisis was to gut the company's sprawling product line, slashing it down to a bare minimum. The first symbol of the comeback was the iMac G3. It completely rejected the standard, boring beige boxes of the era in favor of a vibrant, all-in-one design. Then came the iPod, which forced the company entirely out of the desktop computing niche and squarely into mainstream consumer lifestyle electronics. By 2007, they unveiled the iPhone. It discarded physical keyboards for a multi-touch screen, consolidating a phone, an internet communicator, and a media player into a single handheld device. The iPad soon followed, securing their absolute dominance over entirely new hardware categories. Every device in this explosive sprint of innovation was driven by the exact same obsession with user simplicity that started in the 1976 garage. Today, that $3 trillion valuation is no longer driven strictly by selling individual devices. It is driven by keeping users permanently inside a closed system. This diagram illustrates the walled garden architecture. The products are engineered to work flawlessly with one another, while intentionally rejecting outside technology. The iPhone forms the first anchoring piece, locking into place around the user. Wearable tech then tightens the loop. By attaching notifications and health data directly to the wrist, the digital experience becomes constant and physical. Audio accessories remove the final points of friction. They sync instantly across devices, completely sealing the barrier. The true product being sold here is convenience. The ecosystem is so deeply integrated that leaving it requires abandoning a seamless lifestyle, making the switch too painful for the consumer to consider. If you strip away the massive server farms and the global supply chains, you find yourself right back at that dusty workbench. The raw, exposed wires of their first wooden computer have simply evolved into an invisible, ubiquitous technology ecosystem. Yet, despite the unimaginable scale they've reached, the underlying drive to shape how the world interacts with machines remains identical. Apple stands as a massive scale demonstration of how specific design philosophies can be scaled into a global business standard. For more breakdowns on the business strategies shaping our world, make sure to subscribe.